Welcome to The Abundance Project, the podcast where together we hack the game of life to manifest more abundance in business, love, money, and freedom. I'm your host, Tess, a six-figure business owner, a fiance, a hot dog mom, and a woman who, just like you, is navigating the journey of compounding abundance every single day. In each episode, we'll dive into practical strategies, inspiring stories, and actionable tips to help you unlock your fullest potential and create a life overflowing with abundance. Whether you're looking to elevate your career, deepen your relationships, achieve financial freedom, or simply find more joy and fulfillment, you're in the right place. So join me on this adventure as we learn, grow, and manifest abundance together. Let's get into the episode. I am so excited. I feel like there's always a backstory to when I bring a guest onto the podcast, but guys, today we have Bree from Hello Fletcher Co, which I'm going to let her introduce herself in a moment, but I just want to give you some context. We went to primary school together. And I just think it is so wild. Not even just went to primary school together, primary school, I'm going to call it Canberra for context where people don't know what the fuck Bungendore is, which makes it even more niche, but we love that. We went to primary school together. I remember seeing bits and pieces of you in high school and whatnot, but now you also live up in Queensland. I would love to say sunny Queensland, but today it is not sunny. It is not sunny at all, and it is... we're living with it. It's so fine. But I'm really excited to have a conversation and to kind of catch up on your life and where you've been, and love that there's something on my lip. Love that for me. Totally just on brand. But Bree, give us an intro. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll kind of have a conversation from there.
I love that. Amazing. I'm also extremely excited to be here. It's just the serendipity of all of this. So funny. Hi, everyone. My name's Bree. I am the director and CEO of Fletcher Co, which is a social enterprise marketing agency. So I was introduced to the concept of a social enterprise when I was 19. I was working in a nonprofit and then realized that I didn't like the way that nonprofits functioned because they weren't sustainable. And then people were like, have you ever heard of a social enterprise? It's like a nonprofit, but they make money and that's how they sustain their impact. And I was like, whoa, that's the coolest thing ever. Let me learn more. And then I got really interested in marketing and launched my business. And now we're a social enterprise and we work with social enterprises and purpose-driven businesses and do full stack marketing. So the full kit and caboodle.
I love that. I love when this concept of full stack marketing, because there really is so much in it. So obviously I do more mindset business coaching, and we do a little bit of copy and all that sort of stuff, but fuck me, there is a whole world inside marketing. So for people that are oh, what really is that? Especially for business owners, I tend to have a lot of people that have kind of fallen into business based off the fact that they love to help people, or they want to be a PT, or they want to be a mindset coach, or whatever it is, and they don't really understand all the different hats that you have to wear in business. And marketing, I definitely think, is one of those very big ones that people are like, but wait, what? So could you give us a bit of a rundown of what that actually looks like?
100%. There's so much nuance to marketing, and it's such a big, scary phrase. And I think marketing is used as a really big escape thing as well for a lot of people too. So full stack digital marketing means that we look after things end to end in your business's marketing. So it's, if you're working with a full stack marketing agency, or if you are doing your own marketing, things that you want to be considering are your full stack. So that means everything from strategy. So the things that talk about your design and who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, why you're talking to them, where you're talking to them, when, all that kind of stuff is your strategy. And then you can have the implementation of that. So then you've got things like your social media, your paid media buying, your PR, your website, your SEO, your email marketing, your SMS marketing, everything else comes off that. And then the tactics are the pieces that follow on from that implementation. And that's where you have things like your copywriting, your creatives, your content that you're putting on Instagram, the way that you're writing your email marketing. And so it's you have your strategy piece first, then you have your implementation, and then you have your tactics. And that's kind of the three pillars that you can break it down into.
I love that. I feel like people are going to listen to that and be like, oh shit.
That's right.
But you know what? Actually, I feel like maybe 2 years ago, 18 months ago, Brody was so on my back about you need to do a marketing course and you need to learn marketing. But honestly, if anyone feels overwhelmed, the best way, and I'm definitely in the very beginning phases of learning all of mine. The best way is to just dive head first and like figure shit out along the way, right? Which I'm sure is similar to what your story is of like, oh, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to do this. Like, where did you learn everything that you do now?
Great question, Tess. So I was working at a nonprofit and I was studying an international relations degree, like totally irrelevant.
Hmm.
And we started working with marketing agencies, and I kind of got to the level of leadership in the nonprofit that I was at that I was kind of like managing them. And I was incredibly underwhelmed by the stuff that they were doing for us. Like it was so shit. Like we had no budget to work with, and they promised the moon, and we landed like so far backwards. It's not even funny. And I was like, surely I could figure this out for myself. And that's exactly what happened. So I was 19 then, and kind of just like didn't really, I don't think I was aware of how big business is. I was like, I can do that. Like, that's fine. And so I started with copywriting because I'd always been good at writing. And then it kind of naturally progressed. And so it was like, do a little course here, watch a shit ton of YouTube videos here, read a lot of information here, and just kind of like pick things up as we go. And then when I hired my first team members, I just made sure to hire up and not down. So people who actually knew what the fuck they were doing. And like I switched my degree over and like I did arts and business instead. But I didn't learn anything at uni. And like whether someone has a business degree or not, it's entirely irrelevant to whether they're good at business. Like there's nothing to it. But it's definitely just like learning things as you go. And because it's also like it's really flexible, and it depends on your business, your brand, who you're talking to, and like what sort of business you are. That will dictate what sort of marketing you need to be doing and how that needs to be implemented and what that looks like. So it's super varied. And I just kind of learned as I went, to be honest, like a lot of pick it up as you go. Like
Music to my ears. There's like 6 million different ways that I want to take this conversation right now. But firstly, I'm
everywhere.
like, let's zoom in on this whole qualification thing. Because, I actually got someone in my DMs the other day, like, asked me what qualifications I have. And I was like, well, like, I have my PT qualifications because legally I needed those when I was doing that. But, like, when it comes to all of this other shit, like, A, universities take so much time to update their syllabus, and marketing changes by the fucking breath
So
of
behind.
like it's wild. Business changes, and B, no amount of information is going to stop you from fucking up or making a mistake. And I really do think that like being that sort of person, and this is where I want to direct the conversation to primary school us, because I think it's so special that we get to talk about that. But being the sort of person that is just so willing to give it a go, so willing to like be confident. And I think that's something that in different kinds of ways both of us had as kids. Like I reflect back to you in primary school, like so like we're doing this, but in like the most beautiful way. And then me as well. Like I know, I don't know if you remember that I made a dance crew in primary school, and it was
Yes.
like all this shit that when you just think you're like, oh, we were literally entrepreneurs from the start, but I had
Right.
no idea that this was a career path that I could go down, and here the fuck we are.
Right? Like child entrepreneurs, like truly, like, and at the time we were just positioned as like bossy and annoying and like, that friend who's just like, please shut the fuck up. And now I look back and I'm like, no, actually, like we had it all right all along. Like we were just maybe a little ahead of, our age. Like,
It's the bossy thing. You're like, oh, but it really, like what was once seen as a limitation has now like set me up. And I think the interesting thing is too, most people that are entrepreneurs talk about how they weren't very good at school and they use this as like an escape to get ahead. You and I know for a fact both of us were great at school.
like
Got very good
school
grades,
was
like
made for us. Like,
literally,
yeah.
literally, like a little bit like people pleaser, like teacher's pet, like I'm gonna do all the things right, like school cat, like all the things. We were all the things. But I think still having that piece inside of you that's like, but I know that I can show up and do this better. But I know that I can take this further. But I know that I'm made for so much more than just like an underwhelming job, to use your language. What did you face within yourself in those moments where it's like it's so unusual to put yourself online and it's so unusual to speak about these things that we do and to like chase your own career path? What are the obstacles and the challenges that you've faced in that bin?
The funniest thing is that literally she just said I've always been, and you have too, just the kind of person where I just don't give a fuck, quite frankly. Like, I just don't care. Like, I never once have considered, like, yes, I'm kind of weird and do things differently. And never once have I been like, oh no, that's a bad thing. Like, it's always just like, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. I don't want you to do it if you don't want to. Like, it's always just been the kind of thing where this is what I want to do. And as you know, I started my business, like I was, yeah, like very young. I was in my second year of uni, just like figuring shit out. And it was super lonely, which was the hardest part for me, was I was super lonely. I didn't have the funding to like invest in a mentor. Like I had like $200 in my bank account when I started my business. Like there was no coaching going on here. And so it was very much just like figuring things out and just feeling that sense of like, am I the only person in the world that thinks this way? Like, surely there's other people who aren't just interested in climbing the corporate ladder and just doing the boring stuff. Like, I'm so uninterested in that. It's not even funny. And it was just like that loneliness piece, but it's always been for me, and you the same, I know, just like, it's fun. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't know if that's like an innate thing. Like, is that a nature versus nurture? I don't know, maybe a little bit of both. Like,
That's a
yeah.
good, like, I think about that all the time because I had a mentor once. I had a conversation with her where I was like, I have known always that I have had this like it factor, like special thing. Like, there's always been something in me, but the guilt around, like, I believe everyone has that, but I don't believe everyone chooses to activate that. It's like, it's not I was just lucky that I was born special thing. It's like, yeah, I was potentially lucky that that part of me was nurtured from a very young age. However, I still have chosen at every step of the way to face the courage. Like, I don't know about you, but I have received some fucking hate online.
Oh yeah.
And every time that you show up to that, it gets real fucking real quick. You're like, oh, Jesus, like someone said that about me or someone thinks that. And like, okay, I'm still going and like forging the path and continuing ahead. So I think it's really cool. And I love this acknowledgement of like how lonely that can feel. And I think that we're blessed, or people that are starting business now are a little bit more blessed in the terms of like, there is so much support out there and there is so many people doing it that get to expand you and show you what's possible. But I even love the part where it's like, you now have a team, right? I want to know more about that. How many do you have in your team? Like, what's the experience of being a boss or a leader or
all of the things? Yes. So there's 6 of us now, or 7 of us, including me now, which is kind of crazy and has been the most surreal ride. I feel so grateful that people trust me to like employ them. Terrifying. I'm just a girl. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I'm flying by the seat of my pants 99% of the time. Thank God we're just going in a good direction. Like, and it's like, it's because I have never been like full-time employed. I've never had a job per se. I don't really operate in the way a normal like marketing agency job would. Like, I don't pay my team hourly. I pay them per project. And so if we get, say, there's a project and I think it would take me 4 hours, I'll allocate them 8 hours and say, I'll pay you this rate. You can do it in 8 hours. You can do it at 10 hours. You can do it at 2 hours. I don't care however long it takes. That's what I've allocated for that project. And that's what I'll pay you. And that's something that they're like, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you not pay people that way? Because either way, I'm getting paid the same amount from the client. I want to make sure that they're getting paid regardless. Like, why are people penalized for being good at their jobs? Why are you not paid less because you're more efficient or more intelligent, whatever it is? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And so we just do things really differently. Like, everyone works from home and we just kind of chill. Like, we don't have regular meetings. It's just like a little chat here and there, and everyone's just living their life. And like, I don't believe that you need to be chained to your laptop 24/7 to have a full-time job. Like, I think as long as you can get your work done in a way that is sustainable and it is producing a really high quality of work, I don't give a fuck what you do, to be honest. Like, and so it's a very different kind of experience. And I definitely put that down to the fact that, yeah, like, I've never had a job. And so I didn't have these standards and expectations of what things should be like. And so then when it was time for me to hire people, I thought, okay, well, how would I want to be treated? And what would I want that to look like? And so it's been a very interesting process for us. And like, I've been really lucky. The people that I have always hired are just wonderful humans. And I haven't had any major, HR issues or anything like that. And like when I first started, everyone was just contractors, and then we kind of like slowly moved over into like more formal kind of structures. But it's been an interesting ride, definitely.
I think that's so interesting. And I think the thing that like we can extract from that is the idea of I never had it role modeled to me in a certain way before. So that didn't put me in a box. So I literally got to do it in whatever way I wanted, which like whether you've had things role modeled to you before or not, I think we all get to take a step back and think like, okay, if this didn't already exist in a certain way, how would I want to do it? How would I want to show up for it? And that's something I try and keep in mind a lot when I'm coaching my clients with their businesses. Is not like, I'm not trying to make you a carbon copy of me. Like my way might not be your way. Like let's figure out your way. And it's so interesting. Even like Brody wants to start, well, he has started, but slowly and surely, his electrical company, and he eventually wants to hire a team and all of the different things. He's talking about like taking on apprentices and like doing these things for him because he got treated like absolute fucking shit as an employee. And even those experiences give you the perspective of like, how do I want to be as a boss? And you see how much better people show up to work and how much more efficient they are and how much loyal they are when you are like genuinely caring about the human and their life, not just like what they submit. So I think that's super powerful. Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm so interested to know, in keeping with the theme of like, the podcast is called The Abundance Project, and we're young. Like, this is like scratching the surface on like the start of the journey. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see the business going? Like personal life, business life? Like, I want to know the vision.
Oh my God, the vision just it changes every day, honestly. So I recently have been doing, not to get too woo-woo on you, but I feel like you're in that space.
Go there.
I've been doing a lot of past life regression recently, and I have discovered this whole new like world of like lives that I have lived and all of these amazing things. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I don't need to do that again. So that's really exciting because now I have so many more opportunities and ideas of where we can go. And I play around a lot with manifestation in terms of past life and future life regression. And so like you meditate, drop into a future self space and manifest that part of your life. And then it just happens. That's like how my whole business has happened. Like I just kind of like envision myself a little way from now doing whatever it is that I want to be doing. And then it comes. Like obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes in there. It's not, we don't do lucky girl syndrome, but like it's definitely the mindset thing around like, where do I want to go? And so for me right now, I'm really just enjoying this phase of life. Like I have so much freedom and flexibility to do what I want and creativity. And like I take on clients that I want to take on and don't take on people that I don't want to take on, and just have this really beautiful sense of like lush freedom and like get to travel around and do fun things and spend, my days, sometimes change my laptop when I feel like it. And then when I don't, I'm doing literally anything else and it doesn't matter. Like, and so it's just, I did want to last year go and live overseas for a little bit because obviously can work from anywhere at any time, but I have a few health conditions that stopped me from doing that at the time, which was a bit rude. So that is still on the vision board, to go and live in Croatia for a hot minute. Like a little 3-month sabbatical in Croatia could be a lot of fun. And that's kind of like my next like couple of years, what I want to see happen. And then beyond that, I'm open to everything and anything. And so it's kind of like, I want to sell the business at some point, I think, but I don't think that would be at least for another 10 years because I genuinely just love what we do. Not to say that the business won't change. There's a few things that I'm doing at the moment that are changing what we look like and what we're offering, just to make it so that it's better for everyone, really, which is really exciting. And so again, that just opens up so much flexibility and freedom for what that could look like and all the dreaming, which is amazing.
No, there's so many things that I'm like, just like rewind and like,
wait a minute.
But again, like the manifestation piece, the like, I actually saw you make a post, I don't know, maybe last week or whatever, that was like just doing my like quarterly midlife crisis, like identity shift. Like, and I was like, oh my God, I relate hard because sometimes I just grow so quick that I'm like, I actually don't want to do that anymore. That's actually not aligned anymore. Like on to the next, and not from this place of like unfulfillment on to the next of like the hustle culture chasing, but just like, cool, I've done that. I'm satisfied. Like now I'm like going to slightly change, which I don't know about you. You probably don't struggle with it as much. Sometimes I really struggle to find the language because I'm just like 6 million things. We're like innovating here. And I'm like, I'm not really sure what this is, but we won't let that stop us. We'll just use the best language that we have.
Yeah.
Going. I find it interesting as well that the big vision is to sell the business, because I'm so curious to know more about how you run your business as a brand versus as that personal brand. Like obviously your face is in it and obviously you are tied to it, but with that vision of knowing that you want to sell the business one day versus for me, I don't ever see myself selling it one day, but obviously I'm a either retire or die or something.
Right?
And
Like something will happen.
it'll close and that's totally fine. But I think it's even different people have different visions and we all need to have the different visions, but what is your experience in building a brand that you know you want to outlast you? And with the age of the personal brand kind of booming everything, how do you find that balance between your face and the brand itself?
Oh my God, it's such a struggle. And because, well, it's quite interesting though, because the clients that we work with are predominantly like brand businesses. So I guess in that sense, it's the space that I work in a lot. But the personal brand is the easiest way to grow at the moment, without a doubt. Like if you have a personal brand, that will skyrocket at any point, anytime. And so I navigate that by, I've strategically called my business Fletcher Co, which is like my mum's maiden name. So not tied to me, but still kind of. And so there's forever been that kind of separation between Bree and the business, which is good. But I am definitely the face of the business and will be for the foreseeable future. But as we go, I think my plan in the next sort of 5 years, it'll be interesting to see what the marketing scape looks like then, and like how the personal brand will change, because we tend to see like we have this cyclic pattern of what works in marketing and business tends to stick around for 3 to 5 years at a time. So I think we're kind of like in the peak of the personal brand now, and it'll be so interesting to see what happens after that. I am really into this concept at the moment of employees of businesses being like the personal brands, like the influencers of the business. And so trying to leverage my team more into that, but they're just so not interested, which is fine. Like you don't want to put your face all over social media. I get that, babe. Like, don't worry, like you and everyone else. So it's fine. And so I'm like, do I hire someone specifically? Like, do we do a Duolingo mascot? Like, where do we go from here? There's so many different directions, which is just really exciting. And so it's always been like, I make sure to keep some sense of personal, like some of my personality in it. And also just like all of our clients work with me. Like I still have my hand in every pie that's going on in the business. Like we have like 80 clients and I know everything that's happening with everyone at every given moment. And that will stay that way for as long as I'm here. And so I want to have that like personal connection and like make sure people know that, yes, like I'm here, I got you. But also my team are wonderful humans and they've got you probably more than I do, to be honest, because like, yeah, there's 80 people. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like,
I know everything is happening, but also I know absolutely nothing.
right? I'm like, I could tell you your coffee order. I know what your dog's name is, but like what's happening in terms of your project is going to have to ask like your team lead. Sorry.
Oh my God. That's so funny. But like, oh, there's so many different things. Fuck. I'm like, there's so, okay. Okay. Firstly, I do eventually want to go down this route of, I remember when I was like, oh my God, it's Bree. We went to primary school together when you said that to me. And I was like, I'm a fucking idiot because I didn't even realize. Me like sending you a voice note being like, hey, you know, it's actually really funny. I didn't do that for ages. When I first got into business, I had a bro marketing coach and they said to do that and it felt so icky. It was like, send 40 DMs a week. And I was like, no, absolutely not. So I just like boycotted the whole thing. And then recently I've been getting into just like building relationships with people that follow me again. So it's really cool to have that flow. But note to self, make sure you actually look closely and see if you recognize anyone, because
I loved it. I was here for the hustle. I was like, yes, Tess, like you do that. Like
so funny. So funny. But I obviously went on, like, had a deeper stalk and I watched some of your highlights and everything, and you talking about the shift of marketing from the attract, nurture, convert to the circular thing. I like tried to read the Vogue article, but I was like, I actually have no fucking idea what this is telling me right now. I want to have a conversation about marketing and shifting like that. But I also want to go down this like team, bringing your brand's personality. Like your brand can still have a personality even if it's not a personal brand, which I think is so cool. And I love that you're bringing your team to it. And for context, my team one day will be when I have a family, and they will definitely, I was like, Brody, when we have kids, we're going to pay them $18,000 a year from the second they come out of my womb, because they are absolutely like, the second I get pregnant is like the day I'm going to start my YouTube channel. Like, you just wait. They're going to be a part of the team. It's going to be a whole thing. But I love this concept of like, you still get to bring the elements of what's working, but make it work for you and your vision and your brand. So let's go down the funnel conversation first, and what that's changed, how that's changed, and what that means for people when they are creating content.
Yeah. And I mean, that ties into the branding conversation anyway. So we can bring it all together.
All the things, do your thing.
Amazing. So the traditional, like the creme de la creme way to operate within the marketing world since the 90s has been understanding the marketing funnel. And the idea is that you have your top layer of the funnel, which is everyone you can possibly reach, and that's your awareness phase. So that is everything that's happening at the top. You're reaching new people. That's your top of funnel. And that's anytime someone connects with you, they go into there, and that's their first kind of interaction with you. Then we have the second stage of the funnel, which is nurture. So that's kind of like your leads, right? So it's people that they've interacted with you at this top of phase, and then they've come through to the next bit and they've said, hey, I'm going to stick around for a little bit. And this is where you can really start to nurture people. You give them a little bit more information about you. And that's a smaller group of people, because not everyone cares about you. And that's totally fine. You don't want everyone to care about you. So then you have this next phase. And then from there, you have your bottom of funnel, which is your conversion piece. And so again, that's a smaller group of people, because some of the people from this nurture bit, they're kind of be like, okay, yeah, you're cool, but not interested. Or they'll be like, yeah, oh my God, I'm in love with you. And we want both of those things to happen, because you can't work with literally everyone in the world. That is terrifying and literally not possible. So then you have your bottom of funnel, and that is your conversion piece. And so the traditional marketing funnel has had these three structures to it. But what has happened in the past couple of years is this idea that that's totally broken, because the whole point of the marketing funnel was that once someone had converted and they were in your world, they'd come through the funnel, they came out the other side as a brand advocate, someone who's part of your brand, and they'll forever buy from you. You don't need to put them back through the funnel again. But now we use, especially Gen Z and millennials, use social media for literally everything, right? Like, we're searching for like life advice on here. We're searching for our next pair of shoes on here. We're trying to find what course we want to do here. Like, everything that we want, everything that we're looking for happens on social media. What that means is that we're so oversaturated with so many different options. You can't just make us, we're not becoming brand advocates. We're not becoming loyal just because we purchased from you once. Like, even if we have the best experience in the world, even if we love you, your business, your brand, your product, your service, that's not enough. And so the marketing funnel is broken, because it used to be that you'd push people through, they come out the other side, and then you just find new people, put them in the top, push them through, and just keep pumping it that way. But it doesn't work anymore, because people come out the other side, they've bought your product, but then they see something shiny over there, because now the idea is that you want to find the next best thing, right? Like, we're all looking for the next best thing. And so that means that just because you have something good doesn't mean that theirs isn't better. And I'm going to go try that better, because what if it is, and it's right in front of me and I can see it. So now we have the marketing loop, and the idea is that we're still attracting new people in, and we're still nurturing them, and we're still converting them. But then there's this really powerful, important piece that the traditional marketing funnel misses. And that's that loyalty piece, that building brand advocates, like people who would literally like ride or die for you, like your brand besties. And those are the people that will literally drive your business. And it's so much cheaper to convert someone who's already a customer than it is to find a new customer. So how can you do that? You build your brand loyalty, and you build that sort of connection. And so that's why, instead of it being the triangle where we push people through to the bottom, it's this loop, because even though they've converted, they're coming through, and now they are in our loyalty section, and that feeds straight back into our top of funnel, because even though they've purchased and we're making them loyal, they still need to be nurtured, and they still need to be sold to all over again. And so it just is this continuous loop of how we connect with people and interact with them on all touch points at every aspect of our business.
You know what that says to me from like a mindset energetics perspective? It's like conscious relationships. Like, check in with your people. Like, could I be doing better? Could I, like, is there anything else that you want from me? And I even think about this from a relationship standpoint. Like, Brody and I, not so formally, because like I don't want to scare him away. Although he put a ring on it, so he's not going anywhere.
Fine.
he's locked and loaded. But casually, often I'll be like, hey, is there anything that we could be doing better? Like, is there anything that's not making you happy? Like, checking in, not just settling for our relationship. And I think it's almost beautiful in a way that there is so much quote unquote competition and so much saturation, because it really does force us to like put out our heart and soul, put out our best work, not just put out like a piece of shit that you sprinkled glitter on, because like people will know, right? Like they will fucking know.
Correct. Yes. And that's the best thing. And like now the age of being bad business is dead. Like good business is simply good business. Like you need to be a good human doing good things in the world, but you also need to have great products and services. Like whatever it is that you're selling needs to be fucking elite because there's so many different options. And if you're not sure that it's elite, that's the thing that you have to focus on because even if you have the best marketing in the world, you got all the bells and whistles, you got $1 billion budget, you get people through and then they buy from you and they hate what they bought, they're never coming back because there's a million other options. And so it's this really exciting space as well, though, for all of these incredible people who are so good at what they do and have so much value to bring to the world. Now's your time to shine, babe. Like it's literally the perfect time to be a good business because that's what people want.
Number one strategy is like give a fuck. Like
right?
Don't give a fuck, but simultaneously like give a lot of fucks. Give a fuck about what you're doing and who you're sharing it with and what it's doing for them. And I even think about this like moving into our wedding era, which we're not actually going to have a wedding for a little while. Like I want to live in my fiance era for a while.
Enjoy
but I
it,
just
surely.
literally,
Yeah.
I'm like, no rush. We're going to like buy a house or a commercial property. We're going to do something. I wouldn't even be mad if like we had a child before we walked down the aisle. So we'll see what happens.
It's fine.
It feels on brand for me. But this idea of the wedding industry and how people are so like car salesmen-y, like they're very desperate and they can like follow you up and chase it, like how important the customer experience is as much as the product or the service, because I think that will honestly make or break things. And like I own my business. It's not that fucking hard to like be courteous in an email or to like give a fuck. So I'm certainly not going to be spending my money in a business that doesn't care about me. And I think it's so cool from the CEO perspective to start bringing that in of like, okay, even like me messaging people, I'm like, okay, I care about relationships. How can I actually care about relationships more? How can I build these relationships deeper? Not just to try and get a quick sale and not try to push them through the funnel as fast as I can, but to actually nurture and build this connection where it's going to be easier. Because like you said, it's so much cheaper to keep a already customer buying than it is to like find a new one, which is actually a whole conversation route that we can go down as well. Like side note that. But I think it's really cool what like you could see all the negative sides of the funnel being broken and how everything's changing, but there's just so much positive in my eyes.
Absolutely. Like it's honestly, it's really exciting. And it's definitely like the study, there's so much data around people only will buy from a business that they genuinely believe in. And so it's a really big, important part of your marketing loop now should be really focusing on the impact that you bring and telling people about that and being really open and transparent about what an amazing person and business you are. Like that is such a fucking huge selling point for people. And it's like, if you're not talking about that, you're just leaving customers' revenue on the table, which is really sad for so many reasons.
And I think the other important piece in that is like the whole how you position yourself, right? I've seen a lot of people position yourself as an expert and da 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 da, but like AI is a fucking expert. What makes you different from AI? And especially in a service-based industry, it's so important that we show up with our humanness, not necessarily like your I'm in it humanness, not from a limitation, but that we share with people like, hey, this is the journey that I'm on. This is the vision that I have. This is like where we do really well. Oh my God, we made this mistake and this is how we fixed it. Like showing people that we care and that we're not perfect, but we're willing to continue to improve and take on feedback, I think is honestly another really, really great strategy that any online business can really take on.
Absolutely. I agree.
Let's go down this visibility route. For someone that is like their client retention is great, their customer retention is good, like they're doing that. Obviously, you guys do paid ads, and that's a very big route for visibility and getting new customers in. For someone that is potentially like starting their business or they're in the first stages, maybe they don't have a huge budget for paid ads because you can spend a lot of money in that route. Like it's wild. What are your kind of recommendations and how do you coach people through like that visibility stage and getting new people in the doors?
Oh my God, great question. So the thing, like, I love paid ads. We'll die on that hill. Like, we'll transform your business, but I would never recommend paid ads until you can afford to lose 3 months of budget before you make anything back. And your budget may only be $5 a day, right? Like, you don't have to be spending a huge amount, but you have to be willing to invest at least 3 months of whatever that is before you can expect to get something back when you're running ads for the first time. And so what I often say, like, we don't work so much in the startup space anymore, but I definitely used to. And like, I've been a startup myself. And like, also alongside this business, I've had a jewelry business and I've had a coaching business, like all the, like a few others, the side tangents. And so what I often find is like, just focus on doubling down on you, like exactly what you just said. Whatever your unique selling points are, whether that's your personality and your characteristics, or if that's what your product or service has to offer, you have really unique things to focus on. Get that out in the world. People want to see that. So the way that you explain that to people and share that with more people will just depend on the platform that you're using. So whether that's Instagram or if it's TikTok or if it's email marketing. And to get email marketing, how are you getting people on your list? Is it from Pinterest, one of my favorite places? Like, there's so many different avenues to go down. And the number one thing for that top of funnel piece is just like getting out there and showing people why you're amazing. You're not ever selling in that top of funnel piece. You're not saying, this is I'm amazing and this is how much it costs and like a call. It's like, I'm amazing. I think I think you'd like me. This is why. That's it. That's all we're doing there. And so it's very much just like, what are your unique selling points? Whether that's a personal thing or a product and service thing, like either or.
I think that's so good. And it's like really is just getting in front of people's faces, visibility. Like, how can you be visible? And that's where even the concept of like, oh, I'm afraid to be seen online, or I'm afraid to be judged, or I'm afraid to like be hated on or whatever, or have people not like me, people not want to go through my marketing loop. Like they're going to eject and unsubscribe. And that's perfect because, again, like you said earlier, we are not for everyone. I actually often say to my clients, like, all right, if everyone that watched your stories today signed up to your offer, could you handle that? And they say no. I'm like, yeah, good. Like, exactly. Like, it's not about servicing everyone. And I think a lot of people will go through this kind of phase as well. And this is why it's so important to get that language at the top right and that unique selling point right, and really show people who you are and who you're not. Because there's so much more context than just like getting a customer. There is a very big difference between getting a customer who you love and who is easy and who is light on your nervous system, and getting someone who asks for a refund and then wants to eject and then doesn't do this and this. And it's just like a whole fuck around and a mental load. And you just don't want to deal with that. You're going to experience it.
Okay.
But once you experience that, you go, oh, okay, it's not just about getting 100 customers or $10,000 a month or this or that or that. It's actually about the quality that goes alongside that and then building from there, which I think is a like random piece that I want to throw into the conversation. But
it's so true. And it's so very, very important. Like, the amount of times when I first started where I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, like I'll work with anyone. Like, give me the experience. Like, oh my God, you want to pay me? I'm so fucking flattered. Like, yes, I would love to work with you. One, I was charging like $30 an hour as a freelancer. So like, I wasn't even making a living wage. And of course, when you're charging that low, you're attracting not really the best kind of clients. Like, my favorite clients are the ones that pay us 10 grand a month retainers. Like, they are just the easiest people to work with because they're just simple and they just get it. And so like, very quickly learned that not everyone is someone that you want to work with. And just because someone wants to pay you doesn't mean that you should let them. Like, get the vibe, read the energetics. And now it's very quick to me. Even as soon as I'm on a Zoom with someone, if I don't like, if there's anything about it where I'm even just like questioning slightly, like if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. If there's any kind of questions or uncertainty about it, it's a no. Like, it's not what you want. It's not worth it. Like, no matter how much they want to pay you, it's never worth it.
it's so funny how it's always the low ticket clients that are the like biggest hassles. And that's where it's like, there's a client at every price point, and we need to think about who we want to work with and why, and what, not just like what the ideal client is, but also how the ideal client behaves in your space. Like, it goes so far in how you are positioning everything, right? I want to have a money conversation, because especially when you say, I'm sure for a lot of people, they're like, I'm sorry, what? People pay you $10,000 a month on retainer and they're easy. Like, I personally, money has been the biggest challenge in growing a business, specifically tax. I
Oh my
got
God.
so motherfucking fucked around And I'm like, I will take responsibility until the day I die. But I got fucked around with multiple different tax accountants. Finally, we're at a good place. But I learned a lot along the way. What has the experience for you been like being a company owner, working with team, paying people, paying yourself, working with these big, large amounts of money, and then also tax on the side? And also, I don't know if you're in an office space or whatever, but like all of the different things, it looks beautiful. All of the different things that go with running a business. How have you grown your money mindset, but also like your financial literacy and all of that?
It was like the biggest clusterfuck when I first started. Like I got absolutely wrought. I did not understand tax, and I was like, "Oh, it's fine. I'm not making that much money. Don't worry about it." And got absolutely fucked over. Like I was still paying my first 3 tax bills. Like I've still been paying them. I just finished paying it this year. Like that was 6 years, like 6 years ago. Like it was a big lesson to learn, and so there was a lot of, yeah, definitely like the mindset around it, like not being afraid of this much money and like making big amounts of money feel normal was really scary. And there was so much scarcity to overcome around that. And like, that's a really terrifying conversation to have. And like, like when I first started and yeah, I'm charging $30 an hour and that seems like a great rate. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm rich. Like I am balling. And then I make my first 10 grand month. Don't think that I have to dedicate anything to tax. I'm like, oh my God, I'm rich. And then oh shit, like my first BAS payment, what is this? Like all of the things, and there's so much to it. And so I did some really good courses. I can send you the links. I don't know if they're still around, but I can definitely have a look and send you the links too. There were 2 really good like financial literacy courses that I did that actually explained things to me. And then I got a great accountant who is actually great at what she does. And I think she's booked out, but I have a few friends who have lovely accountants who are just like the best people in the world. And honestly, sometimes that's all you need. And so, but like the mindset piece is the hardest part. Like, yes, like there's like the actual like managing of the money, but I would just recommend getting a really good accountant. Like you still need to know what's going on because like, I'm sure it sounds like you're the same. Like I got fucked over by accountants who weren't doing things right or weren't doing the best things for me. And that's how I kind of ended up in really bad situations. And that's because I was super hands off. I was like, you go do that. Like, that's your job. You do that. I don't need to know. Rookie. No, you always need to know. Like you always need to know what's going on. And so, yeah. And it's the mindset around managing large amounts of money and like being confident and like comfortable asking people for large amounts of money and like not batting an eye was a really big thing to overcome. But when I was first starting my business, I was actually like my casual job was like in door-to-door sales. Like I was doing door knocking for, and like it was for a business, but we did like for the McGrath Foundation was who we were collecting donations for and like collecting regular giving donors. And that was a really great job for me because I got very comfortable very quickly asking people face on for money, like a random cold person that I've just met. And then suddenly I got good at it. And you know what it is? Exactly what we were just saying. It's about making connections and making people feel like they know you, you know them, they're getting something out of this, you're getting something out of this, everyone's happy. And so you start with like little things like that and have those connection conversations like, okay, well, if I can do this for $30, then I can do that for $300. If I can do it for 300, I can do it for 3,000. If I can do 3,000, I can do 5,000, and it just keeps going. And like, once you get over that and you realize that there is so much money in the world and you're asking someone for a tiny piece of theirs in return for whatever it is that you're offering them, like if you truly believe in what you do, it's not that scary, but it is when you begin, definitely.
And when you think about like, there is so much generational trauma, I'm going to say, like women could only open up a bank account like 50 years ago. Like that, my mom was not old enough. Like that in its own lifetime is like, oh, it's not our fault as women that we have these like limitations or beliefs or scarcity and lack mentality. But there is so much opportunity to overcome that and to grow through that. And me personally, like if anything was going to break me, it was going to be that fucking tax like bill and the whole like I have to face the part in myself. Especially growing up, we were very intelligent kids, and I was always praised for being smart and yada yada yada. Had to face that part of myself that's like I actually have no fucking idea, and I just tried to outsource this to escape it, and that's actually ended up in a bad situation, which I think in itself is such a good lesson. Like whether it's your tax, whether it's your marketing, whether it's like whatever it is in your business, if you can understand it before you delegate it, like there will come a day where I will delegate my bookkeeping again, hands down, 100%. When I'm making millions of dollars, I'm not doing that shit. Like all those little transactions, like fuck no, that's someone else's job.
Yes.
But you bet your sweet ass, if that person is sick one day, I'm going to know how to jump in and do it because I've done it before and I've understood it. And I think that's such an important piece of the puzzle to grow ourselves through. And like, realistically, I don't know about you, but I'm going to assume it would be very similar. The outcomes of being an entrepreneur, and I say that very still feeling like it's the beginning, but the outcomes are great. We love like hitting the milestones, but it honestly is the journey and the growth as a human that like keeps me addicted to this pathway. Like it would be so easy. I don't think so. I'd fucking knock my head against the wall if I went and got a 9 to 5. But it would be so easy to go and do that. Like we stay in this because of the internal growth, because of the challenge. Like when you say you visualize the next step, it's not necessarily about that's the outcome. It's about who I become on that journey. Like our soul craves that growth. So I think it's really cool to have another expander of like, yeah, I dealt with, and thank you so much for validating the part of me. Like I'm still paying off one of my payment plans and shit like that. You're like, okay, it is what it is. It doesn't make me bad at what I do. It makes me actually really fucking good at what I do because I chose to overcome it, because I understand a business owner that's in that point that's like, holy shit. Like this is, you'll laugh at this. I had Audience Plus on my ads the other day, and we did does your business need a BBL ad? And it was going to 99% men, even though I put the audience as women. And it took me like 3 or 4 days to figure it out. And I was like, fuck. We have to.
That would be a terrible mistake.
But you live, you learn. And it's like, okay, well, we'll turn that off next time. We'll actually keep an eye on our ads of like how many men are clicking this, and maybe think about that next time that I shove towels down my pants.
Oh, I love that so much.
There's so many little stories. Even you saying like that you used to door knock made me think about, I hate it when people door knock. I'm usually like, I try to be nice and I try to be courteous, but I try not to waste either our time, because like I'm not having a fake conversation with you to then say no to you. So maybe like 3 months ago, one of them, I don't know what it was, but he got me, and he was so chill, and it was a energy provider, and he was telling me, I was with Energy Australia, who apparently is not Australian owned. He was telling me that, and he was telling me about red energy, and he was like doing all these calculations, and he was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't actually look like it's going to save you that much money. However, I'm not supposed to tell you, but there's a drop coming. And I was like, I just like you. And yes, switch my energy provider, because we built a rapport and a relationship, and it really is that connection of like just being open. Not everyone's going to like you. Some people are going to shut the door on your face and they're going to be really fucking rude. Some people are going to acknowledge you and have a little conversation and then be like, actually, no. And that is all perfect and that is all fine. And if we can build that skill set of like just showing up and being willing to ask the question anyways, like what's that age old thing? If you don't ask, the answer's always no. It just makes such a difference.
And like the energetics of that as well, though, like it's like showing up to every door, not expecting anything. Like when I first started doing it, I was so shit. Like I was literally like my first month, I didn't make a single sale. Like and my coach was my like team leader was like, okay, like you're not really good at this. Do you want to try something else? And I was like, oh no, but I like it. Like I just get to talk to people and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then I realized, stop being so fucking desperate. Like don't rock up to someone's house and be like, please, for the love of God, like give me $30. Like I'm begging you. Like just rock up, meet them where they're at, see their energy, reflect that back to them, and have a decent conversation with them. And at the end, say, hey, look, we've had a really nice chat. You connected on this. I connected on this. Like, this was amazing. Look, the reason that I'm here is X, Y, Z. And it's the energy of how you meet someone is the way that they will reflect it back to you. If you're desperate, they can read that from a mile off. And that goes like in any forms of sales or marketing. Like it totally applies. Like, and you don't need to be desperate, because it comes back to the abundance mindset, right? And like, if you want like some stats around that, there's like the law of averages that states for every 100 no's, you'll like in 100, 99 no's, you have to get one yes. Like you have to. So even if it takes you a little hot minute to get there, eventually someone is going to say yes. So then you get like the resilience part of it. And like entrepreneurship is the ultimate personal development project. Like the resilience is so important. And so you have to be like, okay, yes, like 20 people just said no to me, but I'm going to talk to this next person as if everyone else just said yes. And I'm going to come in here and have a fucking excellent time. And I'm going to give them great energy. And if they give it back, great. And if they don't, I'm out. And that is like transfers to across all parts of business and just life in general, to be honest. Like there's so many things that go into that.
Oh, so many. Even like I think about the Canva story of the Australian woman that built that, like how many no's she got before she got a yes, or Walt Disney and like the funding for Disneyland. Like just keep going, keep showing up, keep like opening your heart and like being confident even when you don't feel confident, I think is the biggest thing. I think so many people are waiting to have the tax knowledge or waiting to do this or waiting to like they're afraid of making a mistake. You're gonna make mistakes no matter what. So just like fucking go, messy action. You will end up in a place where you'll look back and you'll be like, shit, I got here. How much further can I go? Like,
exactly, definitely. And like messy, like done is better than perfect. Like if you have an idea, just do it. Like what's the worst that could happen? It's shit. We can redo it again later. Don't worry about it. But you have to learn from the first time. So you have to try something. And if that doesn't work, that's totally fine. Like it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to be amazing at everything. You just need to like try.
especially in the online world. Like,
Oh, yes.
we are so blessed. If your Instagram post doesn't go well, redo it again tomorrow. Like, I was listening to a podcast with Brittany Saunders, who owns Fate, the label, and she was talking about how it cost them $500,000 to open up a store. And I was like, we're so blessed, like literally so blessed. And people come in so entitled, like 1 year into business and I'm going to be making 100K cash months. I'm like, just maybe, I'm not saying no, but like, just wait. Like patience, long haul, sustainability. I love that you use that word so much. And yeah, it really does. You look back and you're like, okay, cool. We're doing something right. Like, let's keep going. So I feel like there's just so much information that people are going to be able to take away from this episode. I've definitely taken things away and I have enjoyed it so much. Like, I feel like I'm going to press stop and then I'm going to like do a little catch up thing because
Definitely.
I'm just so excited. But for people that are like, okay, I really like this Bree girl. I like what she talked about. Where can they find you? Obviously, I'll link everything in the show notes, but what kind of, I know you said you provide full stack marketing for people, and I'm sure that they can go and I peruse the website, so other people can go and peruse the website as well. But where can people find you? And we'll kind of finish up from there.
Amazing. You can find me on Instagram, Hello Fletcher Co. You can find our website is fletcherandco.com.au. You can find me on TikTok. It's Bree from Marketing. Kind of fun, a little bit different.
Love that.
And the TikTok is just like me ranting. Like I just get up every day and have my 2-minute rant, and then I just post that on TikTok, and that's my TikTok content for the day done. So it's a little less curated over there, but a lot of fun. And then if you want to work with us, we can help you. For people who aren't ready to invest in done for you services, which I would recommend not investing in done for you services until you know what is going on, because like we were just talking about, you need to understand the how to do it before you let someone else do it. So if you're not ready for that, totally fine. We have a few different options. We do have an ebook that you can purchase. There's some online courses there you can have a look through, a whole shit ton of free stuff to like eat your heart out with. And then we also do like power sessions. So if you have a burning marketing question and you're like, I just want to talk to someone about this, hit me up. We can chat for an hour, or we can chat for 2 hours. We can chat for 10 hours, whatever you want. And they're super like low barrier. It's just like very casual. You'd be like, this is my website. What do you think? I'm like, I hate this, but I love this, and let's fix this, and like do all the stuff. So that's how we can talk.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm just so glad that the universe like dropped things in here, and now we're here. And this has been so fun to reflect and also just learn. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, I shall see you in next week's episode. Bye. Thank you so incredibly much for tuning into this week's episode of The Abundance Project. It means the world to me to have us create a community of like-minded people who are creating abundance in their own lives. So if you could share this episode with a friend, give us a 5-star rating, tag us when you share on your Instagram stories, it would mean the absolute world to me. Until next week, guys, go and find some magic in the micro moments. Love you.